congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the first
Yeah.
seed and on the Shanghai qualification. Amazing game from you guys. Can
Thank
you
you.
reflect on the game, especially on the first map where you guys went down significantly and then come back from that, you know, big deficient and eventually won the game, won the first map?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say in terms of our bind, um, the bind map, we started out kind of slow. I mean,
Yeah,
to give context, we took an off day yesterday.
yeah,
G2 obviously has been playing nonstop for the last 5 days.
yeah,
So in my head, I did kind of expect that they would come out a bit hotter and that we would have to kind of like adjust into things and kind of get our groove back a bit. Like adjust to playing on stage again.
yeah,
We took a full off day. Like we didn't even talk as a team. We didn't do anything. We just made sure that we had as much of a reset as possible.
yeah,
And in first map, yeah, we started slow. After the first half, I had a really good understanding of like what gaps there were in our fundamentals and
yeah,
what would be the difference maker in terms of making sure our communication would be perfect going into the second half.
yeah,
And we had a very clear picture of like how this team plays their attack.
yeah,
So we were pretty confident that our defense was going to bring it back going into that second half. But yeah, after the first half, I definitely was a bit shook because I was,
yeah,
thinking maybe it's going to be a harder day than I thought. But yeah, throughout the next two maps, Breeze had a bit of a slow start as well, but we were able to bring it back, which was good. We had a really good understanding of what we needed to adjust, and we adjusted perfectly to it.
yeah,
And our attack just went extremely well.
yeah,
Pretty much our game plan going into it was, I mean, I won't go into too many details, but we knew that they would be weak to A splits,
yeah,
and we just tried to look to A split as much as we could.
yeah. Sunset was also pretty for us. So I mean, it's all on
Yeah.
defense. I mean, on the obviously on attack, you guys just had the at the reads, had the had the
Yes. Yes.
jump on them most of times. And I
Yeah.
mean, it was a pretty great series from you guys. It was pretty easy, a good trio. It must make you very happy. We talked about how you wanted
Yeah.
the team to perform really well, and you became an America champion pretty soon. I think. Were you expecting the team to win the America whole thing, the whole split?
I'll tell you for sure. I did not expect us to win the whole thing, but the mindset I always have is like I just want us to play good Valorant, and I push us in a direction that's going to make us play the best Valorant possible
Yeah,
in the way that I see it in terms of our identity. And that won't always look the same compared to other teams. Like we have a more unorthodox style or a different philosophy on certain topics, but it's the way that we want to play the game, and it's the way that uh, we best play as a team. So it's important that we stick to that, and whatever results happen. And I think that everybody on my team really did embrace that.
yeah,
That it's more about just making sure we're improving every single day rather than worrying about, we have to win this match no matter what so we can make Shanghai or like adding any additional pressure. We made it a lot about like I don't care how close we are to winning, how close we are to losing.
yeah,
Like we just need to make sure that we're playing good Valorant and then understanding like when we're not playing good Valorant, what the issue is and like how we can adjust back into it. And I think that throughout this entire tournament, we definitely showed that.
yeah,
We had a lot of moments where we were down and came back.
yeah,
And it was just incredible to watch the entire time. Obviously, we have timeouts and adjustments to make to help aid in it, but I just want to say that the players just played insane the entire tournament.
yeah.
They had a great individual form. I think that was like a big contributor to why we came away with the win
Yeah.
over G2 today.
Yeah, I mean, talking about this, not just the win over G2, but win over Leviathan and every other big team that came your way,
Yeah.
and especially everyone is in form. Asuna was hitting those shots, Bang was on point, Cryosils looked amazing, more than he has looked in the past year, better than 2022 and better than 2023. And I think it has a lot to do with you and Boostio. What do you think you guys activate them in a way that the previous team couldn't? I mean, they look phenomenal right now. Was there
Mhm.
something you guys changed, or was the system? Is the system working much better for them right now? Because they look like even when they are not shooting as much, Asuna or Bang or Gysos, they look much better and much like they look much relaxed at least. Can you talk
Yeah.
about what
Yeah.
changed for them?
Yeah, I mean, ever since my career in league, I had a pretty clear understanding of like how I want to build a team. And that the most important thing is that people are, one, comfortable, and two, that you play to your identity, like no matter what. Because it's like I want CryoCells to be doing things that CryoCells wants to do. I want Bang to be being aggressive if he wants to be aggressive. I don't want to like pull these players back at all. I want to find ways that when it makes sense that we play with teamwork, and when it doesn't make sense and we need to like be more aggressive, take risks, that they feel comfortable doing so. So a lot of the time, like we don't even review a lot of like mistakes that happen, because that, you know, might deter people from making plays that that, you know, they want to make or that they feel is going to win us the round. And that's a really important mindset to have, because I think there's a lot of teams that are really worried about making mistakes, and it lowers the amount of pressure that they put on teams. Whereas we're a team that's playing a very high pressure game, and we want to make sure that we always play high pressure whenever we can, to make sure that the enemy team doesn't feel like they have any space to breathe. And that's part of our identity, something that everybody on our team is super comfortable making sure happens. And that did take some time, because I'll be honest, like during scrims, we were really tunnel visioned on our own plays initially when we started with this approach. People were always like kind of making their own play, and then like if it's like too much of a 50-50 fight, then it's like, okay, like let's show you how you can coordinate with someone else in the area, and then how we could make that look better. And then we just kept going through these scenarios, and we reviewed and re-reviewed and we reviewed so many scenarios of us in team fights and micro fights, and how we could better set someone up. Like even small things, like someone shooting their gun to set up Sean to go through the smoke in our last match, closed out our match. Just small details like that. And our players having the intuition and aggression in their head to go for plays like this is the reason why we're such a good team.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you proved it right. Like you winning the trophy, you proved it that you are the best team in Americas right now. And congratulations once again for, first of all, it helps a lot being the first seed, given you would also have a chance to pick the opposition for next next game. One thing you did talk about, and as we go into Shanghai, you'll skip the switch stage, right? One thing you previously mentioned is G2 would be coming in hot because they would be playing some games, and this would be replicated again, where whoever teams you face or you choose to face would have a much they would have had faced you would have played Valorant for at least 3 more days than you. Do you think how do you think you would, adjust to that? And what do you think is better, playing the switch stage or just practicing during when these guys are, practicing and prepping before during these guys are playing switch stage? What do you think is a better way to get into a tournament?
I mean, in terms of this match and how it applies to Shanghai, I mean, personally, I wanted to win really badly, honestly, for the champs points.
Yeah.
That was like number one priority to me.
Yeah.
And in terms of the tournament, yeah, I do think that coming in hot through Swiss is like a good trajectory to take for sure. Yeah. I mean, the buy and the fact that you get to choose your opponent potentially if you're, not pretty much like the fourth team that's picked. It is definitely a big advantage in terms of you get to understand, like, I guess, who exactly you get to watch them play. You can ante a little bit, but when it comes to like the raw, like, we won't know how audio is on stage. We won't know how hot it is. There's so many details that comes to stage play that you don't really think about if you're, not already playing on the stage.
Yeah.
So just those little details do matter a lot in terms of getting you comfortable. And there will probably be some level of like us warming up into our match. But that's expected. And I mean, we're here, we're going to have the bye whether we want it or not. But I mean, I honestly, I'm down for either way. The most important to me was honestly the champs points.
Yeah. Obviously, another thing that is more important for Shanghai would be the Viper nerfs, and we would see them like previously Sky nerfs, which impacted a lot of. I mean, Sky still played, but it still impacted how she is utilized, and I think that would be similar for Viper nerfs. Do you think? How do you think it would impact? Do you think there'll be a complete shift in meta after the nerfs?
I'll speak generally on the topic. I do think that Viper is going to be as strong as before. I think the change to the Molly, it's like you kind of lose like a luxury Molly, I'll call it.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, 6.5 seconds of stopping power is still incredibly strong.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's going to go through that. So you just have to really be greedy with the timing of your Viper Molly, and it'll be good. I mean, obviously 2 mollies is pretty OP,
Yeah.
and the gas change is a slight change, but honestly, when it comes to cross map util, she's unmatched. Viper is really strong for that, and with the current map pool as well, I just don't see Viper leaving the meta on every single map. Maybe on some maps where it's a bit more luxury, but overall, I don't see a large shift. Maybe on some maps.
Yeah, talking about maps, obviously there will be a map pool change after Shanghai, and I would have asked after this, but we are already on topics of maps and agents. So, what 2 maps do you want to see out of the map pool right now? And which
I
maps?
think,
Yeah, go on, sorry.
yeah, I think Ascent has lasted really long in the current map pool.
Yeah.
I think that while I do like Ascent as a map, it is one of like my favorite maps personally. I think it would make sense for them to like transition it out. The other maps I'd like to see, I think the breeze changes were a bit confusing for me. Just because they took out halls, had a clear vision of like how they wanted to change the map, and then they just kind of undid it based on like community perception. At least that's how it feels. So just both. Yeah, I mean, I would be down for both maps to be taken out, but mostly I could see Ascent being taken out for sure. And I'm curious to see, because usually when they take maps out, they'll add like an older map that they changed in some way. So I'm curious to see what changes they come up with for any of the current maps. And if they just 1-to-1 trend, take Ascent out and then put the new map in, then I'd also be down for that. But yeah, I mean, I think a map pool mix up would be good overall. To change up the meta a bit.
Going back to the topic of Shanghai, obviously the buy, we talked about buys, we talked about the switch stage, and if now you had a choice, now you have a choice of team, like even if you are last team, then it's no point. But if you're given a choice, which team, or based on the teams you have seen right now, I think I must have seen some of the games of most teams that are qualified. Is there a team you would want to face? Like you would choose as a team to face in the playoffs first round?
I've watched some of the games recently. I haven't been able to watch a lot because there's just honestly this tournament, and I'm sure every other team in this spot has only focused on themselves in their own region for the last like week or so. Because it's been such a crazy grind. So I haven't seen the recent form of any of the other regions outside of just the Paper X game. Watched a bit of that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't pick Paper X. We can't pick Paper X because they won, obviously. But I would say in terms of like people to play against, I would definitely like to play against Paper X again. I feel like they're a team that is very fun to play against. They're just a very high skill ceiling team. They have a clear vision of how they want to play the game, and they are very good at like swarming you, which is something that we imitate at times in our gameplay. So I'd like to see kind of like how we fight fire with fire.
I guess this is my time. And thank you so much for your time. I hope you once again, congratulations for Shanghai, congratulations for being the America's champion, and best of luck for Shanghai. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, bye bye.